What's up, Commanders fans? Welcome back to Commanders HQ, where we bring you the latest, most in-depth coverage straight from the heart of Washington football. Before we get rolling today, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because just like this team, we're always looking to improve, get stronger, and keep pushing for better results every single week. Unfortunately, this week's game gave us more pain than progress. The Washington Commanders were absolutely dominated in their Week 7 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, and to make matters worse, the face of this franchise, Jaden Daniels, left the game with a hamstring injury that sent shockwaves through the entire Commanders fan base. Let's dive into everything that went down, what it means for this team moving forward, and why this moment might be a defining one in Jaden's young NFL career. Right from kickoff, you could tell this wasn't going to be Washington's day. The Cowboys came out firing on all cylinders, putting up points early and often. Dan Quinn's defense, usually disciplined and physical, looked out of sync and gassed trying to contain Dak Prescott and that high-powered Dallas offense. And then came the worst possible sight for Commanders fans. Jaden Daniels grabbing the back of his leg after a tackle in the third quarter. He immediately went down, clutching his hamstring, and was quickly helped to the sideline before being taken into the blue medical tent. According to The Athletic's Nikki Jabala, Daniels was visibly in pain, but managed to flash a thumbs up to his mom sitting in the stands. A gesture that said, "I'm okay," even if his body wasn't. Minutes later, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that Washington had ruled him questionable to return with a hamstring injury, but given that the team was already down by 4 possessions late in the third quarter, it was clear his day was done. And just like that, the Commanders' brightest star was out. Before the injury, Jaden Daniels was once again showing why fans and coaches believe he's the future of this franchise. Despite Dallas's defensive pressure, he still managed to put up 156 passing yards, 35 rushing yards, and 2 total touchdowns. Even with limited protection and minimal rhythm in the offense, Daniels was Washington's leading rusher, just like he has been in several games this season. His legs are electric, his decision-making continues to improve, and his leadership presence is undeniable. But this hamstring injury couldn't come at a worse time. Daniels already missed 2 games earlier this season because of a knee injury suffered in Week 2 against the Green Bay Packers. In those games, Marcus Mariota stepped in as the backup. Now the big question is, how severe is this latest setback? For mobile quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels, a hamstring injury isn't just a tweak. It's a problem that can linger for weeks, sometimes months, if not handled carefully. The medical staff will need to evaluate the strain and determine whether it's a mild pull or something more serious. Hamstrings are tricky. You might feel fine walking or jogging, but one explosive sprint or awkward cut, exactly the kind of movement that defines Daniels' game, can make it flare up again instantly. With Kansas City on the horizon in Week 8, Washington will have a tough decision to make. Do they risk rushing Daniels back to face Patrick Mahomes in primetime, or do they play it safe and let Mariota take the reins for a game or two? Considering the Washington record and the stakes of the season, that's not an easy call. As if losing your franchise quarterback wasn't bad enough, Washington also faced a nightmare scenario on the defensive side of the ball. The Washington Commanders coaching staff took what now looks like a risky gamble, choosing to play Dorrance Armstrong despite lingering knee issues. Armstrong, a former Cowboy himself, was eager to suit up against his old team and give his all, and to his credit, he tried. But it didn't take long for that decision to backfire. Armstrong was on the field for the opening series, but quickly came off, visibly limping. He was listed as questionable to return with a knee injury and shortly afterwards ruled out for the remainder of the game. That left Washington dangerously thin at edge rusher. With Drake Jackson landing on injured reserve earlier this week and Jalen Holmes released to make roster space for Sam Cosmi, the Commanders were down to just Jacob Martin, Preston Smith, and Von Miller to handle the pass rush duties. Not ideal, especially against a Cowboys offensive line that's one of the best in football. And the result? Dallas moved the ball at will. No pressure on Dak, no containment on Tony Pollard, and no rhythm on defense. What was supposed to be a statement game for Washington turned into a humbling reminder that depth matters, especially when injuries start to pile up. This game puts Dan Quinn and his coaching staff in a tough spot. The Commanders now sit at 3-7, and while that's not the end of the world, the schedule isn't getting any easier. Next week's showdown against the Kansas City Chiefs is looming, a primetime stage where every mistake gets magnified. But Quinn has to think long-term. If Daniels' hamstring isn't close to 100%, pushing him to play could risk aggravating the injury, and losing your young star for a month or more could derail the season entirely. At the same time, this locker room feeds off Jaden's energy. His mobility, his leadership, his ability to make something out of nothing, it all keeps this offense alive. Without him, things can get stale fast. That's the tightrope Dan Quinn now has to walk. If Jaden can't go next week, it'll likely be Marcus Mariota under center again. The veteran quarterback has already started 2 games this season and has handled himself with professionalism and composure. Mariota doesn't have the same explosive spark that Jaden brings, but he does offer steady leadership and mobility. With the right game plan, heavy use of the run game, short passes, and play action, he can keep Washington competitive. But make no mistake, this team runs on Jaden Daniels' fire. Without him, the Commanders' ceiling drops dramatically. Injuries are a brutal part of football, and for Washington, this season has already felt like a war of attrition. Jaden Daniels, Dorrance Armstrong, Drake Jackson, Sam Cosmi, it's a long list, and we're only 7 weeks in. The silver lining is that none of these injuries seem season-ending, at least not yet, but the team's margin for error is shrinking quickly. Fans have been patient, buying into the vision that GM Adam Peters and Dan Quinn are building, a tough, resilient, balanced team built to compete every single Sunday. But moments like this test that patience. When your star quarterback is hurt and your defense is limping, it's easy to lose hope, but this could also be the kind of moment that defines a team's character. Heading into Sunday's game, Washington was already in survival mode at the wide receiver position. Head coach Dan Quinn knew it, the fans knew it, everyone knew it. The Commanders had already placed Noah Brown on injured reserve, sidelining him since Week 2 against Green Bay. The team wasn't satisfied with how his recovery was going, and his absence has been deeply felt in a passing offense that struggled for consistency.
On top of that, star receiver Terry McLaurin missed his 4th straight game, and that one hurt. Quinn had sounded confident earlier in the week that McLaurin might be able to go, but by Sunday morning, the reality hit. He wasn't ready. And if that wasn't enough to make fans nervous, Deebo Samuel Sr. was also ruled out due to a lingering heel issue. That meant Washington entered AT&T Stadium with just 3 healthy wideouts from the active roster, plus a last-minute elevation from the practice squad, veteran Robbie Chosen. It was a nightmare scenario for an offense already trying to find its rhythm. And then came the moment that no one saw coming. Late in the first half, rookie receiver Luke McCaffrey, who's been one of the brightest young surprises on this roster, lined up to return a kick. He took the ball, turned upfield, and tried to make a big play by leaping over a defender. But it didn't go as planned. McCaffrey's legs were clipped midair, and he crashed down hard, appearing to hit the back of his head on the turf. He lay there motionless for several seconds, and that silence in the stadium said it all. Players from both sides took a knee. Fans watching at home and in the stands were frozen. This was the last thing Washington needed, not just because of how short-handed the team was, but because of what Luke has represented. A young player stepping up, earning trust, and bringing real energy to this offense. The Commanders' medical staff sprinted onto the field, surrounding him quickly. After what felt like forever, McCaffrey finally sat up. Then, to everyone's relief, he got back on his feet and walked to the locker room on his own power. Still, the anxiety was real. Social media exploded with concern. Fans were pleading for updates. After everything this team has gone through, the idea of losing yet another receiver was almost too much to take. Then came the moment that flipped the mood completely. During halftime, reporters confirmed that Luke McCaffrey had been cleared by Washington's medical staff. No concussion, no neck injury, just a hard fall and a quick scare. And just to prove he was fine, McCaffrey trotted out to the field and took the opening kickoff to start the second half. The sight of him back in uniform, helmet strapped on, ready to compete again, was the best possible news Commanders fans could have asked for. In that instant, you could almost feel the collective exhale across Washington. After a brutal few weeks filled with injuries, setbacks, and uncertainty, this was a moment of genuine relief. What's made Luke McCaffrey's journey so impressive is how quickly he's adjusted to the NFL game. Coming out of Rice, he wasn't supposed to be a major factor right away, but his intelligence, work ethic, and route running have made him a valuable piece in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. He might not be putting up huge stats yet, but he's shown flashes that give Commanders fans real hope for the future. His chemistry with Jaden Daniels has been developing week by week, especially on those quick timing routes that move the chains. And let's be real, With McLaurin, Debo, and Noah Brown sidelined, Washington needs McCaffrey to stay healthy and available. His presence alone adds flexibility, allowing Kingsbury to keep the offense dynamic even when the depth chart is thin. That's why Sunday's scare hit so hard. It wasn't just about losing another receiver, it was about possibly losing a young piece that's been growing into a legitimate contributor. Dan Quinn knew this was going to be one of the toughest stretches of the season. The Commanders are trying to balance development with competitiveness, building around Jaden Daniels while staying resilient through adversity. Injuries, however, have been relentless. From Terry McLaurin's contract drama and missed games, to Debo's nagging heel problem, to Jaden's own knee and hamstring concerns, it's been a revolving door of setbacks. Quinn's message to the locker room this week was simple: next man up. But there's only so many next men you can turn to before the depth runs dry. That's why McCaffrey's quick recovery wasn't just good news, it was essential. It kept the offense from falling into total disarray. If you're a Commanders fan, you know exactly what Sunday felt like. One minute you're frustrated with the scoreboard, the next you're praying for one of your players on the field. And that's what makes this fan base so special: the emotional investment. Every play, every hit, every bit of adversity, the fans feel it right alongside the players. The reaction online said it all. Hundreds of fans flooding social media with relief and gratitude when Luke returned. Thank God he's okay. Man, that scared me. We can't lose any more guys. That's not just fandom, that's family. The Commanders left Dallas battered, bruised, and searching for answers. The scoreboard wasn't pretty, and neither were the injury updates. But every NFL season has moments like this, moments where teams either crumble or come together. Jaden Daniels' status will be the headline all week. If it's just a mild hamstring strain, Washington might have dodged a bullet. If it's more serious, the Commanders will have to rally behind Mariota and hope their defense finds its groove again. For now, the message is clear: rest, recover, and regroup. So, Commanders fans, let's hear from you. How worried are you about Jaden Daniels' hamstring injury? Should the team sit him next week against the Chiefs, or let him play if he feels ready? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd read every single one of them. And if you believe in this team, even through the ups and downs, smash that like button, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Because no matter what, we ride together. This is Commanders HQ, signing off.